Alright, hello everybody. Hello and welcome. How's everyone doing? Phil here live on the stream. What's up, what's up? Two gameplay streams for you on the docket today, this Friday, July 21st, 2017. With 10 days left in the month. Pushing ahead, trying to finish up on the stuff that I've been working on recently. So, this first stream today will be Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin. I am more than halfway through the Iron King DLC. Making my second run through the DLC now that I've gotten rid of all the ice, which unlocks a ton of stuff, I remember. So working on that right now. And yes, I will be trying to do all the optional stuff in the DLC, including the optional boss that I never beat the first time around, okay? Alright, tonight, I'll be doing more Danganronpa 2. Yes, that is correct. I'll be playing more Danganronpa 2 later tonight on my later stream, around 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, okay? That stream will be running about 2 hours long, FYI. Despite the fact that all the drama queens last night tried to say that I was quitting Danganronpa 2 and violating my patron promises, I'm not. I never said that. What I said last night after completing the second trial in the game was that I thought the game was inferior to the first. I could already tell from the length of the second trial that the game is too convoluted, there's too much dialogue, it's too drawn out. The second trial could have ended in an hour and been absolutely amazing. Instead, it took almost 3 hours because they just kept throwing more shit and more shit and more bullshit and more curveballs at you. And then the trial ends and it keeps fucking going for almost another hour. So, pretty stupid, in my opinion. I think that, honestly, it kind of jumps the shark. And people are telling me, oh, that's like a short trial. Most of the trials in the game are even longer than that one. So I gotta kind of shake my head and I'm like, that really sucks, man. Seriously. Alright, so we've got an idiot in the stream chat who's now been banned. A liar. Okay. And here's what I mean. Here's what happened. So last night I posted my thoughts about Danganronpa 2 on Twitter. I said I think it's inferior to the first. It's too overblown and drawn out. To the point where it gets annoying that the trial should have been over and keeps going and going and going. And I don't like that. And I even said, you know, if this game is as long as it's going now, because I've already played it for almost 15, 16 hours, okay? And I'm only a third through the game, supposedly. So you're telling me this game is like 50, 60 hours long, right? So I posted all these thoughts up on Twitter, and immediately these idiots start completely making shit up. First of all, Phil's going to drop the game, violating his Patreon pledge. Then you get the idiots who claim that they're patron pledgees, and that's it. I can't support Phil anymore. He's complaining about a Patron's Choice game. I'm withdrawing my pledge. All right. So here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready? Newsflash. Everyone ready for this? Because you got to know, you'll love this. Exactly 0 people have withdrawn their pledges from Patreon. I know because I checked before I started streaming. 0. So all the people talking shit on Twitter last night, the guy right now who just did the fake bullshit message in the stream chat, no one has withdrawn their pledges. They're all fucking full of shit. It's the same people, as usual, who want to talk shit, who want to say one thing, and then they're completely full of garbage. They're trying to make it look like, people are mad that I said something negative about, I almost said Persona. That I said something negative about Danganronpa 2, and that now there's this big controversy and everyone should withdraw their pledges from my Patreon. It's not going to work, because nobody cares. I'm an outspoken person. Everyone knows this. I've always been an outspoken person, right? This is the kind of person I am. I don't pull punches. I'm not going to hide my feelings about a game and pussyfoot around, right? I'm going to tell you like it is. Personally, I think Danganronpa 1 did it right. I think that Danganronpa 2 is becoming far too overblown, too drawn out, and that's my opinion. And, you know, that opinion might change too, right? It might completely change. But right now, that's the deal. Is that that's how I feel. So I'm going to say that. That doesn't mean I'm quitting the game. That's the other thing. A bunch of idiots on Twitter last night saying, oh, that's it. Phil's quitting the game. He's violating his Patreon promises and all. I never said I'm quitting the game. If anyone with a brain looked on Twitter last night, my publicly posted schedule that I post every night says I'm playing it tonight. So don't believe everything you hear on Twitter. It's usually a bunch of drama queen idiots trying to stir the pot, trying to cause trouble. And this was absolutely no exception at all. It's the same idiots doing the same shit, okay? So, don't believe the bullshit. No one pulled their Patreon pledges. No one's going to pull their Patreon pledges on account of me speaking my mind about Danganronpa 2. And no, I'm not quitting the game. I'm going to keep going because it is a Patron's Choice playthrough, and I'm going to keep going with it. All right? Fair enough? All right. Now, let's talk about a few things. Some people already have asked me today, why aren't I playing Splatoon 2? Even though I've explained it all week why I'm not playing Splatoon 2. It's pretty simple. Number one, because it's not really a sequel. It's pretty much the same game with a few tweaks. Obviously, the maps are different. But at its core, it's the same game. Right? The same kind of deal. It's just a ton of multiplayer. Apparently, they've improved the campaign, which no one cares about, because no one cared about the campaign in Splatoon 1. Everyone just cared about jumping into the multiplayer. It's got the same absolutely terrible game design decisions as the first game, including only being able to play a couple maps during a set period of hours of gameplay. They did that to pad the game artificially to make it look like there was more content than there was in it. All right? It's just, again, it's another situation where people who are huge fans of Nintendo, right, are kissing the game's butt, when in reality, there's not that much to the game. There's just not. It's a repetitive multiplayer shooter. It's meant to be addictive, so you'll keep playing. So there's some kind of a competitive shooter on the Switch, since multi-platform games are not being ported to it, right? So, that all being said, everybody. That all being said, I'm not playing it. I wasn't going to run out and spend $60 and then spend all weekend playing this game that I know was going to fizzle out within a session. I know it was, because that's exactly what happened with Splatoon 1, all right? I knew it. And that's the thing. People don't seem to realize I have already a frame of reference. It would be one thing if, all right, if this was the original Splatoon, just Splatoon, was just launching right now, and I was going to give it a shot, all right? Then I would say, okay, I'll give it a shot. It's a new game. It's a new IP or whatever. This is the sequel. It's the same. We already know what it is. No one cared about the first game outside of hardcore fanboys of Nintendo, and no one's going to care about this one. Okay? Here you go. Lucifriend just said, reviewers are saying that the gameplay is solid, but they didn't change much of anything. It's pretty much the same game. That's what I thought. From everything I've seen, that's exactly what I've thought, and that's why I'm skipping it. There's no reason for me to spend all weekend playing a game that's the same game I played 2 years ago that got no attention then. Okay? So, there you have it, folks. No, I'm not playing Splatoon 2, and I really feel like I'm missing out on nothing by not playing it. It's that simple. It wasn't like Splatoon 1 was a Game of the Year, winner, and I really missed out if I hadn't played it. You know what I mean? Really, it was like, wow, I played Splatoon 1, and it was great, and big deal. I played a few sessions, and that, I could have skipped it and missed nothing. Kind of the same thing with this one. Now, here's the thing, because some people have been saying really silly stuff, okay? See, Phil, that Switch that Phil got was a waste, because Phil's not playing Switch games, so you might as well just throw it out. No, it's not true. For example, in August, I'm going to be playing Mario Cross Rabbids, okay? In a few months, when the new Mario game comes out, I'll be checking that out. I will be checking out games on the Switch. They just have to have games actually released that are good. That's the problem with the Switch right now. Most of the games released for it are little crappy indie games no one's heard of and no one cares about. The AAA titles are few and far between. You know, people are yelling at me, why am I only playing Ultra Street Fighter 2 on the Switch? Because there's no other good games. It's that simple. If Nintendo released other good games, I would play them. They haven't. So, there's not much I could do about that, right? So, hopefully, there will be, you know, good games this year to play on the Switch. But Nintendo actually needs to develop and release them, and then I will cover them. Alright? Fair enough? Okay. Now, so now let's actually talk about what's coming up. Today, Dark Souls 2 and Danganronpa. Tomorrow, Dark Souls 2. Now, I don't know if we're going to finish up Dark Souls 2 today and tomorrow. It all depends, because here's what I got. I got the rest of this DLC left, right? I have to rerun through the DLC a second time now that all the ice is melted. There's, I believe, one required boss to finish the actual DLC and get the third crown. But then I believe there's the optional boss that I never beat. The optional boss that the first time around when I played this game, I never beat it. Okay? That could take a while. Last time, it takes a long time to get to that boss. It's a major pain in the ass. So we'll see. Then, after I finish up this DLC, then we've got the Dark Lurker. Yeah, I have to finish up the Dark Lurker, which I only went into once and got my ass handed to me, you know, for about an hour trying to figure it out. Keep in mind, that was a long time ago. That was, you know, levels and levels and levels ago. Now I have way more HP, way more damage, everything. Maybe now I can handle it. I don't know. Alright? So, yes, Dark Lurker, ladies and gentlemen. Dark Lurker. Then, once I beat the Dark Lurker, then I've got the Ancient Dragon, which I never beat in my first run. That could go either really easily or really poorly, right? Then, I've got to kill Vendrick. Then, I've actually got to get to the final endgame area of the game and finish the main game. And then after that, you've got the optional Scholar of the First Sin True Final Boss. Okay? So, there's a lot left to do. It all depends on how it goes. If I just steamroll through it all, I could probably beat it tomorrow. If it whoops my ass and I keep dying and dying and dying, then it may take another 1 or 2 more sessions, okay? So, we won't know. We won't know until I actually, you know, get to this stuff and see what happens, alright? Now, after Dark Souls 2 is done, which may finish this weekend, I'll be beginning Red Dead Redemption's Undead Nightmare DLC, which everyone wanted to see when I played Red Dead Redemption much earlier this month, okay? I'm excited for that. I think that's going to be fun. It's one of the best DLCs, in my opinion, ever made. And I really enjoy it, so I hope that that'll be fun for you guys, you know, coming up this week. I'm also going to be continuing with Danganronpa 2, okay? And then later this week, there's going to be a new character released for Overwatch called Doomfist. Yes, I will be checking out Doomfist later this week, okay? And then, I'm thinking probably the final day of July, July 31st. It's a Monday. I think I'm going to do my Indies Marathon, where I'll be playing at least 3 indie games during the course of the day that the patrons are currently voting on, okay? So we'll see how that goes too. You know, as it's coming up right now, I believe it was Night in the Woods and was it not Shantae? It was Dust and Elysian Tale, and one other game are the 3 that are in the major running. I'll have to double check because I haven't looked at that poll in a few days now. But it looks like it's gonna be a fun time. 3 games I've never played. I don't know much about them. It should be pretty fun. Okay. So that's all coming up in July, folks. Pretty good stuff. And then in August, we've got the start of the Gotta Go Fast Sonic event, which right now in the lead is Sonic Adventure 1, which I'm actually looking forward to because I played the hell out of that game on the Dreamcast, and I'm looking forward to playing it again. And then also Tacoma is coming up. I'll also be balancing that with Danganronpa 2, and we'll see, how much time it takes. If I have time for something else before the new releases start releasing in mid-August, because we got a lot of them in August. Just taking a look over here. We've got Agents of Mayhem, Sonic Mania, that's going to be good. The standalone Uncharted expansion, the Call of Duty World War II beta, and Life is Strange, the second wave, episode 2, or whatever you want to call it. And there's another game too. What is that? Hold on a second. Oh, Mario Cross Rabbids. So all that stuff is happening in the second half of August this year, which is pretty crazy. It's going to be a very busy August. And I'm very much looking forward to it. Oh, yeah, and Batman Season 2 as well. Although that's short, it'll be like an hour, 2-hour episode or whatever. That is coming out. Batman Telltale Games Season 2 also. So a very, very busy August that I'm looking forward to, and I hope you're looking forward to it. But we got to get there, okay? I'm well aware that July's been a slow month, okay? I know it. With me mostly doing downtime stuff, it was Red Dead Redemption, then it was Dark Souls 2, with a little bit of fighting games here and there. There hasn't been too much going on in July. I get that. I'm hoping to bring it back in August because it's been really slow and I need to get things going here. You know what I mean? Okay. All right, that's really all I have to say, folks. I just want to do some quick plugs. Number one, my Patreon at patreon.com/darksidephil. This month, the goal is Patron's Choice, but it's not going to be including JRPGs, visual novels, or long, drawn-out narrative-based games, okay? Those are banned. Any other game is eligible for this month's Patron's Choice. So if you pledge $5 or more by the end of this month, you can get in on this event. You can nominate and vote on the games you want to see, and this will be a full playthrough that I'll be doing during the fall. While all the new games are being released, this will be the downtime playthrough I'm balancing with those new games, okay? So, please consider pledging if you have not, all right? There is 10 days left in the month. We are about $100 away from hitting the funding goal. We could still do it. It's not that far of a stretch, okay? So please consider pledging. Thank you. And thank you to those who have already pledged. I appreciate that, okay? All right. Number 2, Teespring. Fun merch. T-shirts, sweatshirts, stickers, mugs, all kinds of stuff based off of artwork submitted by my viewers and fans. This weekend, I'm going to try to add 2 new designs that were submitted by Azure Studios to me this week. I just haven't had a chance to do it. This weekend I should have some time, and I will let you know all about those. I'll probably make a new card here to put into the intros and everything for it. It's really good stuff. I think you're going to like it, okay? And then, of course, right here, if you're live on the stream, folks, and you want to directly support my efforts to keep being able to do this every day, if you like the daily live streams and the on-demand videos I do on YouTube, there are 3 direct ways you can support today's stream. You can either cheer with bits, you can tip me, or you can subscribe to the channel. If you do any of those things, I will give you a verbal shout out. In fact, a bunch of people did so already during the pre-stream, and I'm going to give you all a shout out in just a moment. I'll read all your messages and everything, okay? Now, if you... Hold on a second. My stream chat froze. I'm trying to unfreeze it here. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Had to click on it. It was frozen. You know how sometimes it says messages below, click here, and it was locking up. I had to click, now I can see all your messages. Okay. So if you cheer 50 bits or more, if you click on the share button after subscribing to the channel today, or if you tip me $2 or more, you'll actually get a pop-up on-screen notification, thank you, for your contribution. So it's kind of double recognition. You'll get a visual recognition immediately, and then when I get a chance to give you your verbal shout out, you'll get that as well. Okay? So, yeah, it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of good stuff. So I certainly hope that you will consider, contributing if you can today, and support me. All right, I appreciate any contributions. I do, and I really enjoy the interactivity and everything. The streaming method is very different than how I used to do it. I really enjoy this one. Okay. Okay. Stuart360 said the trolls would really flip if they watched other streamers. I've seen people get constant $100 to $200 tips while all they do is sit there bored looking at a stream while barely even talking. Yeah, I'm aware. I'm aware. I know how it works. Just because I'm not Mr. Popular, Someone sends me $1 and the trolls flip out. Yeah, you get these people who sit around with their thumb up their butts and they're getting hundreds of bucks per minute. I know how it works, Stuart. Anyway, all right, let's give some shout-outs. So, shout-out to Miss Monique, who started off today's stream with a 100-bit cheer. Thank you, Miss Monique. Thank you to Ratcha Fan, who did a $2 tip, and he says, Derek is asking, how was Braveheart last night? My parents watched it 22 years ago and loved it. I have not seen Braveheart in over 10 years. I never saw it in HD before. I watched it last night. Braveheart's one of those movies. It's 3 hours long, but literally it doesn't feel like that. Like the movie ends and you're like, oh man, it's over already? And you look and you're like, holy shit, that was 3 hours long. That movie was good. Yeah, Braveheart's a good watch. The only thing is, if you're squeamish, it's pretty violent. There's a lot of gore in it because of the hand-to-hand combat, but it's a really good story. I really like the movie. So, then we had the troll cheer of 10 bits. All right. Mountain Honey did a 10-bit cheer. He says, if you had a chance of talking to your younger self from 2008, what would you warn him about? Hope that things pick up in the future. You know what? I would say if I could talk to myself from 10 years ago, all right, I would say two things. Honestly. I would say, number one, be careful what you say and take YouTube seriously, because the bottom line is 10 years ago, I didn't. When I was doing YouTube at the beginning, I thought it was just fucking around. I thought it was silly. People would ask me questions about things like Minecraft, and I would completely off the cuff with no research talk out of my ass and insult entire groups of gamers and game developers. I didn't really give a shit. It was kind of like, this is my hobby. I'm fucking around. I don't really care about it. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I'd be doing it for a living, especially for as long as I've been doing it. I've been doing it for a living since 2011. So 6 straight years of doing it for a living. No, I never thought that. So at the very least, maybe what I would say to myself is be careful what you're doing, take it a little bit more seriously, because you never know what's going to happen. There are things that I said ridiculously long ago that come back to bite me in the ass all the time. People still bring up shit that I did in like 2010, right? So, yeah, definitely that's one thing that I would say, all right? The other thing, and this is honest too, I would probably tell myself don't share as much personal information, because if anything, I found out these stalkers now on the internet will do whatever they can with your personal information to fuck you over, right? And honestly, I don't think there's anything I could have ever done, because of the kind of person I am, the outspoken person I am, and the fact that I like to do a different style of content and gameplay than most other people. I think no matter what, I would have had this element of people who would have shown up anyway to be negative around me. But I think if I'd given way less personal info about myself, over the years, that it wouldn't have been as bad. You know what I mean? Like, things could have worked out a little better. So, without going into too much detail, because let's face it, right? There's no way you could say, hindsight is 2020. There's no way I could say, oh, it perfectly would have worked out if I had done this or this. I don't know. But I certainly think that that if I hadn't shared as much, that maybe things would not have turned out in certain ways like they did. Okay? And then one final thing, too, I probably would have said, back in the day when I was actually super popular, which I'd say probably was between the years of 2010 to 2012, there were a few opportunities there with a few people who were doing YouTube videos and stuff, where if I had reached out to a few people, maybe I could have done some collaborations and done some crossovers that would have benefited everybody, and maybe things could have turned out a little differently than me just kind of being the guy that does everything by himself. But back then, I didn't know how anything worked. I didn't know anyone on YouTube or nothing. And it's funny now because the other day someone asked me, would I ever do a collab? And I was like, yeah, you know, people like SSOHPKC or any of the people who used to be in the Creatures, they seem like really cool people. They've always kind of been fans of mine. You know, they don't talk shit or anything about me. And if anything, they actually behind the scenes have been really nice to me. So those might have been some people who I would have liked to hang out and do stuff with. And I never had that opportunity, right? You know. But what can I say? You know, that's in the past at this point, right? All right. So anyway, there's your answer. Very serious answer. Then I got another dollar troll tip, so I'll skip that. R2DF did a 10-bit cheer and says, am I going to do an updated video game review of Dark Souls 2? No, I am not. CBV Califloidian did a 10-bit cheer and said, save the Patreon plants. Yes, the running joke returns. The Patreon plants. Of course, it was Patreon dollars that bought these plants. Ridiculous. Mort did a $2 tip. My God, Mort did a $2 tip, and it's not a troll message. Ladies and gentlemen, wait a minute. This is unprecedented. Mort didn't troll me. What happened? I don't know what's going on. He didn't troll me. Ready? He said, listen to this. Remember to water your plants at least once a week, but don't use too much water or they may die. That's actually, he did a constructive tip. What on earth? Ladies and gentlemen, we've crossed a new boundary. We've topped the mountain. I can't believe it. Have we turned over a new leaf? Mort has done he did a nice tip. Who knew? Holy crap, man. All right. Shout out to Game Master 2003 is dead. He did a 10-bit cheer. Says, will I replay LA Noire? Will I replay LA Noire this summer? No. Would I eventually replay it? Yes. So there you go. Again, Califloidian did a 10-bit cheer. Said, save the Patreon plants again. Then R2DF asked me, am I going to play Diablo 3? No. I'm not playing Diablo 3. I have no interest. Oh my God. Wow. Excuse me. Alright, I got that out of my system. The Raven Org did a 10-bit cheer. Thank you, the Raven Org. R2DF did another 10-bit cheer and said, if we pledge $5 to Patreon, how much will your votes count? I guess he's asking in regards to this month's event, which would be the Patron's Choice. You would be very surprised how much influence people have. And let me explain. So, for example, I have 200 patrons currently. Okay, I think it's around 200. Either, you know, give or take a few. It's usually above or just below or whatever. Out of that amount of patrons, I'd say about half of them are pledging $5 or more a month. Okay? So it's about 100 people. However, I'm going to be honest. The last Patron's Choice playthrough, only about 24 people voted. So only 24 people nominated and voted. So just think about those odds. If you pledge $5, you basically have a 5% influence over the voting. That's a lot. That's a ton of influence. So, yeah. $5 patron pledge, you get a ton of power for it. Okay? A ton. Let's see. Califloidian did a 70-bit cheer and said, well, he says, please continue donating bits so I can continue to play games. Listen, I could keep playing games no matter what, but the fact that I do this daily, you know, the amount of streaming I do, the amount of videos I put out, the amount of games that I cover is, you know, thanks to you guys, so. Alright, R2DF did another 10-bit cheer and says, why not share less personal information from this point on? You may not realize this, but I have. I mean, yeah, I'm still sharing stuff with you guys, but not as much. For example, you're not really aware of a lot of the stuff that I did during my time off, and that's on purpose. I'm not publicly talking about things like my car and stuff like that, on purpose. I'm trying to limit the amount of stuff now that I share, only because I've seen how this personal info can go back to bite me in the ass, alright? So, I actually am heeding that advice, and I am sharing a lot less these days. The things that I share with you are kind of like innocent things that don't really matter, alright? Califloidian did another 10-bit cheer, but he was referencing someone else's message, and I don't know what it was because he had an up arrow, so. Huh. Shout out to R2DF, who did a 20-bit cheer, and again said save the Patreon plans. Okay. And then Teleflora did a 40-bit cheer and said water the Patreon plans. Iwojo resubscribed to the channel for the 5th month in a row. And he says, am I going to play the next season of Batman the Telltale series? Yes, I actually already said that on today's pre-stream. Excuse me. R2DF did another 10-bit cheer. Good lord. He says, if you could play any game right now, what would you play? And what is your favorite game and why? Not to turn this into an Ask the King, because this is what this is turning into, and I need to end this pre-stream. But a couple games I've wanted to play for a while and just couldn't. Simply because I know for a fact that they're not going to bring in viewership. Final Fantasy IV or the Suikoden series. Either one of those series I would love to play. But it's just not the time right now, okay? Shout out to Jones Hui, who did a $1 tip. He says, I live in the Netherlands, and I tried to watch one of your videos, but it says it's blocked in my country. It says that it's that way for all of your videos. Any reason why? There's no way it's like that for all of my videos, okay? However, certain playthroughs of mine have been flagged massively for music and such. For example, my Grand Theft Auto playthroughs, my Saints Row playthroughs. A lot of the playthroughs have been flagged for music, and therefore the videos are not playable in certain countries. There's nothing I can do about that. That's just YouTube's shitty content ID system at work, okay? And there's no way around it. There's no way I could fix it. So, apologies for that. It seems like it's the stupid broken content ID system making videos not visible for certain people. Alright? And last but not least, folks. Hold on a second. There's one more message, but my stream chat froze again. Damn it. Okay, there we go. I actually got a $1 tip from someone saying their Dark Side Phil. And they said, love your content, keep up the good work. Oh, we actually got a good suggestion. Stunted in the stream chat says, if you live in the Netherlands or one of these countries where apparently you can't see my videos, if you use a VPN, right, you can watch them anyway. So what a VPN is a virtual proxy. What it does is it makes you look like you're from another country. So, yeah, look into it. Look into using a VPN. You can even use a VPN just as like a browser plugin. It's pretty easy this day and age. And then you could probably watch all my videos, okay? And then thank you to Nod Narby, who just did a 40-bit cheer and says, I love you, Phil. All right. That was a lot of pre-stream cheering. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that. All right? All right. I think it's time to begin with Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin. Everybody ready? I'm ready. I don't know if you're ready. Okay. All right, let's do it.